You guys, I think something's up, and I think it's both better and worse than you actually think. This is all in real time. Today is Thursday. Today is Thursday, October 3rd. The storm happened about a week ago today. It was it was yesterday night, or the night before last, that I was able to first hear from my buddy. And here's how the conversation went.
Since Thursday night, really Friday early morning, when the power
Whoa.
and the grid went down. Yeah,
So wait. You say you're at the fire department where somebody in a private helicopter just dropped off a Starlink.
that happened. That happened a matter of a few hours ago when it
Dang.
was still light, but at the end of the day today. Yeah.
Got it. Wow.
So it's not mine, but no one has had. When I say no one in the valley has had communication, no one in the valley, and there's been no way out of the valley either. We've been completely. All the roads are gone.
Bro.
Like Chris, like it looks like I can't even put it. The scale of what has happened is terraformed the entire Earth to where it's unrecognizable to people who've been here their whole life,
My
including people. I mean, I was evacuating people. Lots of people have died. So many houses are gone. I mean, landslides, tornadoes happen. I mean, 30 inches of rain happened here in a matter of like 10 hours. What they're saying is not even like it's been the biggest weather. He told me a lot, but essentially nobody's showered in a week. There is no power. There is no running water. Part of their land is fine. The other part is not. He's seen church buildings and school buses floating down the road. He's seen washing machines and dryers and trees that are 30 feet up in the air. And I asked him, I said, wow, the hurricane was really pushing that stuff. It was crazy winds. Like, what was the wind speed? He said, it wasn't about the hurricane wind speed. It's about the water table rising that high to elevate a washing machine and have it be stuck up in a tree that's 30 feet up.
Let me show you where these places actually are, because I think there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of over projection and a lot of under projection and a lot of confusion as to why certain things are happening the way they are between, lithium mines, quartz mines, federal response, the lack thereof, you know, aid and relief, communication. All there's just a lot going on. So I want to take some time to just basically point this out. So this thing comes all the way through the Gulf, flies up through the general western part of Florida, through Augusta, Georgia, and then on up into Asheville. Now, yes, we've seen the vice president show up in Augusta and make a speech. And yes, there is devastation in Augusta. I actually have some friends, family down there, and I've been getting some updates from what's going on there. So there are a lot of places that are dealing with it, but I just want to focus on this general area. I'm from Charlotte, which is here. You know, hurricanes often deal over here very much, but it's very unusual that in this mountain range you see right here, you see this whole little section. This is a giant mountain range, and I'm going to show you. We're going to go and actually look at what's where and where's what and who, how is this happening. And I think understanding the topography will actually make things make a whole lot more sense. Okay. So I'm going to center around the part of the state where we've heard a lot of terms: Asheville, Black Mountain, Spruce Pine, which is actually up here. See, Spruce Pine. Burnsville, the Cane River, Bakersville, Marshall. People have been talking about what's going on in Candler, Biltmore. These are the places, again, everything on, this is a giant mountain range right here, y'all. So everything on this side of the mountain in Tennessee, this is the state line, this little squiggly periwinkle, whatever. Tennessee is dealing with their own series of problems, and I simply just don't have that much connection to people in rural eastern Tennessee. I do know that when we went to go connect with some friends in Knoxville last weekend who were coming from Nashville, which is here, right? They said they were able to see hundreds of National Guard on the highway. This would have been the 2 days after the storm. That's here, okay? Now, on the other side of the same mountain range is the North Carolina drama that's been happening. And this is a bit unique. Boone being a pretty popular college mountain ski town, areas of Black Mountain and Hendersonville, this whole just general area got just pummeled, right? Greenville, I've heard a lot about it's this Irwin, yeah, Irwin and Unicoi up here. I haven't heard much about Roan Mountain, but I do know some people in West Jefferson and Mountain City, and I've gotten some updates about what's going on there. But this is what I want people to pay attention to. Look at the way that this ground is shaped. What's happened here is, for my buddy who is in the general, where is he? Getting my bearings here. The general Burnsville area. This general kind of like, I don't know exactly where he is, but somewhere in this general area, right? Near the Mount Mitchell Basin, right? This is very popular. Why? Because this is a massive mountain right here. And some of the purest water from the Mount Pisgah National Forest, yes, is situated in this general area of, I mean, the range extends much further, but this is just one concentration along it. Okay? When they say Montreat is gone, the reason why is because each of these little crevices are like giant valleys inside of giant mountains, and it rained so much that they filled with water to the point of pooling and falling downwind. Now, let me put this in 3D mode so we can really get to the bottom of how tall and just how, like, okay, what is it? What are we actually dealing with here? Let's go. Okay, there's Asheville. Let's just pay attention. Let's just go in a little bit. So, do you understand how this little area pooling with water, just rain gushing from these giant cracks, filling up in this general area, this pooling up, and then just sloshing down the hill to essentially hit places like, where are we here? I gotta zoom out to get a Black Mountain, exactly, Montreat. So, you guys, when I say this is near and dear to me, I was literally just here. I passed the Ingles, the place where I get the water when I'm live streaming all those live streams you've seen me do in the past, when I'm talking on my way to the water mountain. That's going right here. I pass this. It's it's kind of a bit tough to do in this general way, but when I tell you that all these little areas are just little resorts, little mountain houses, little cutouts, these people have virtually no access because these roads are all over the place. So you see how the valley contains this big city? These cities like Montreat, way back in this little tiny valley that's tucked in this beautiful but giant mountain range that just had all this water sloshing down from it. This is what we're dealing with. It's pools of water in areas like this that fill up and spill over into these cities over here. Spruce Pine, now people are understanding why so many people are talking about Spruce Pine, because it's in the same general range. It's just in a slightly bigger bowl. Little Switzerland, I'm not trying to be sensational here. I'm honestly not, but I'm just repeating what I've heard from people and sources that I trust who are hearing similar things from their side of the table. Montreat is underwater. Montreat is gone. Why? Because look at it. It's kind of like, let's see if I can rotate around it. I know one of these, yeah. You see how Montreat is just kind of like tucked in this little basin here? It's just kind of like, it is its own cereal bowl, right? These mountains are huge. They were just sloshing around with what I was told was 30 inches of rain in 10 hours after a consistent 3 days worth of rain. Now, I'll play a clip for you of me driving back the day before the hurricane from this very same exit just across the highway where I get the spring water in this amazing mountain spring, probably somewhere in this general area. That is simply just, we haven't heard the status of what it's really like, but we're talking like just water gushing out these beautiful mountains that's now mud and just debris because this whole thing was just dumped on like a bucket, 1 trillion gallons that you're estimating. Okay, so getting back to the greater, broader context. Swannanoa, right? Gone. Why? Because look at where Swannanoa is. It's just this kind of like little tucked valley town in this corridor that just leads down from both this buildup here as well as the buildup over here that's already sloshed down and taken out parts of Black Mountain. If we go over here, this is Asheville. Now I want y'all to pay attention. Black Mountain is a city, right? It's not as big as Asheville, but I'm starting here for scope. Not only is this where I was at just the day before the hurricane, but I want you to see, we're talking like bridges, entire grocery store systems. This is the little gas station I always go to like get my water situated once I finish filling it up. Quality. There's like hotels, tennis courts, baseball fields, high schools, all that stuff. There's an entire college, y'all. Montreat College is right here. This is an entire university here. I'm gonna see if the quality will improve with the I suppose not, but this is a college, y'all. This is like a whole. I mean, when they say Montreat is underwater, because look at it, it's a cereal bowl. It's just. It's wild to kind of like really grasp it in real time because, we hear what we hear, but in my head, I'm going, well, why am I hearing that some people are just fine and other people are not? Some people in Black Mountain were stuck, but are otherwise fine and others are not. And I just think it was the slosh and where your house happened to be relative to the slosh, Maybe you lived up here and you were okay, but if you live just down the block, you weren't. When I talked to my buddy earlier today, he told me this.
What I know?
What?
I know that at the top of Mount Mitchell, I've confirmed this with the guy over across the river, we'll say, right?
Mm-hmm.
My brother.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Ray, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
We can call him Ray. No one's going to know. We can just call him Ray. So Ray told me that it was 106, confirmed 106 mile an hour winds at top of Mitchell. That was the highest. And we had 30 inches of rain. And that was in a night. It's like what in the world? That doesn't happen. That's not natural. That's not an act of God. No one feels that it's an act of God. These are people who go to church still. And they're not feeling it being an act of God. No one's like, come. But you know what's interesting? We're coming together like we were just bombed. And it's survival. It's life and death.
And he confirmed something that I thought was going on. I said, Joshua, why is it that I seem to be getting very polarized answers between we're fine, everything's good, it's very minimal damage, but, infrastructure is just worried and the roads are worried. And we're not fine. Everything is completely mayhem and not okay. And the reason I think is because just depending on how the water sloshed and how it went, that's where you ended up. So I'm going to go down the way and show you guys. This is I-40, Interstate 40. It's the largest highway in the country. It goes right through the middle of the country. I turned roads off. Let me make sure that is I-40. Yeah, boom. That's I-40. So as you're going through Black Mountain, there's your Montreat. This thing right here was honestly the big, look at this giant lake already. All right. So this is already a lake or whatever, some body of water it looks like. I don't know what the name of it is. Or is this a body of water? What is this? Oh yeah. The North Fork Reservoir. Boom. It's a reservoir already. Then it's sandwiched between these giant mountains, right? Let me get the perspective even more ground level, so we can really get the grasp of what's going on here. It's already sandwiched. Can I turn like this? Okay, it's already sandwiched. Sorry, it's already some liquid there to begin with. Then it's got this giant bowl of water that pools up with 3 inches of rain an hour. I mean, in the mountains. This is why these people move to these mountains, to not have to deal with things like that, right? Then you go down and it sloshes into what we're told is gone underwater, Arctic. And now I understand why. Then you keep going and you just have all these little towns. I mean, the water plant, right? This water plant is probably underwater, right? So these whole towns are talking about, for the houses that have survived rather, there is no running water. And many of them don't have electricity, I'm sure because of the power lines or something in between. And now I'm starting to understand how exactly that is, because look, it's just these little, I mean, there's another one, Warren Wilson College. Azalea. I've never even heard anything about these places. Now they might be fun. I just haven't heard, right? And this is all these little like micro communities that aren't even cities, because they just waft into the greater Asheville community. And now I don't even know where the main Asheville is. Where are we? Let's see. Not that far out. Okay, there's Biltmore Forest. So here's Asheville right here. Asheville proper. So we've been hearing so much about Asheville, but look, Asheville is like this whole like city, right? Let's see if it'll get any clearer with the graphics. Dog, how you gonna do Asheville today? There we go. It just takes a minute because I'm out in the countryside to get the high resolution 3D going. There we go. So the city that they're talking about, as far as the worst, as far as I can hear, the biggest city that got hit the worst, we'll just say, so far as I know, up to this point, is this sprawling giant art town of Asheville. I mean, high-rise apartments. This is just like a pretty big city. The last time I looked, in fact, I'm going to look right now. What is the population of Asheville, North Carolina? 94,589 as of 2020. 94,000 people in Asheville. Okay, so we're talking at least 100,000 in the greater Asheville area. West Asheville, North Asheville, these are all just areas, right? And look, it's just this big town in the middle of this bowl. This, this like what turned into basically a water bowl from a hurricane that came from the south and hit the mountains, right? So, okay, these are some of the things that I wanted to help mitigate in the same conversation. Things like the lithium mine. So, I can tell you that if I type in Charlotte, North Carolina, the lithium mine is just outside of that city. And that happens to be the city that I live in. Now, the lithium mine does not get associated with Charlotte by and large, because it's not technically located in Charlotte proper. It's located just outside of Charlotte in Kings Mountain. Kings Mountain. You see that? Kings Mountain is a suburb of Charlotte. Charlotte and everything around it, by and large, was okay. Bessemer City is right next to Kings Mountain. This is where the lithium plant is, and the mine is just around the corner, from what I've heard. I've actually shot a music video before on Crowder's Mountain. Long story short. Anyway, this is a 2 hour and some change, 2.5 hour drive all the way to get up here. And yes, you are going through the mountains, but you can see kind of just where the mountains start to begin, and you're just way up by the time you're here. So what I think is happening is that certain mountain towns simply aren't is prone to having the most likely trajectory for water to flow out of a bowl, and other mountain towns simply are. I have been told about hospitals in North Asheville that simply are in the body count bag of unclaimed bodies. 900 was the number that I was told yesterday. And today is October 5th. Okay. So we're talking by the time I'm actually releasing this information 2 days later, that was 900 people unaccounted for. They're just saying the death toll is 200, 2 or 300. And that's 900 people at just this one hospital or just this one section of just this one city. And this is what I'm trying to bring to your attention about why it's worse than we're told in some ways. And I'll get to why it's better than we're told in some ways. So look at this. Just this area. We've been told that there is, water rationing happening and just a complete infrastructural breakdown because nobody has power in this area. Many don't have communication. Some do, some don't. So it's not a uniform blanket thing. The other thing that nobody seems to be talking about is all the little tiny in-betweeners. These little things. The fact that Cove Lake Labradoodles. Well, look at that. These little $1 million mansions. These, well, not all of them are $1 million mansions, but you see how these little places here, these are private communities that are tucked in these hills that would have been the dust bowl, the bowl, the cereal bowl setup. I've heard not great things about what's going on in Chimney Rock. Okay, Chimney Rock is here. Let's see exactly why this may be. Well, look at where Chimney Rock is located. Devil's Head. Hickory Nut Falls. Look how it's just this gorge, essentially. It's right in the middle of like a pretty large... there's Chimney Rock right there. So when we wonder why it might be like engulfed, it's because I think the water just built up and just sloshed, and all this just was mudslide, and the whole city just got blown. And again, Chimney Rock is a whole like nice, beautiful mountain town with plenty to do and just tons going on and just houses and all. And the crazy part is, there's all up in these hills. You can see them here. They're just houses all up in here. These people, these are when they say people are trapped in the mountain, this is what they mean. They're in these very nice homes, right? But like nobody can get up there to that house. You see what I'm saying? And that's if that house didn't just slide off the mountain that it appears large chunks of cities like this may have become. So I don't want to make this kind of like a morbid video, but I simply want to show people where these places are and why certain places might be much worse than the others, and why it's important to kind of like get clarity around this so that you don't think that everywhere is Chimney Rock or everywhere is dealing with things in the same way. I know people in Rutherfordton that, had to get trees cut down and different things four-wheeled over to them just to get food and water for they were okay, but they didn't have any access roads or electricity. So this was so much rain on this whole region, right? We're zoomed way in. We're talking this whole area was just the southeastern quadrant of the whole thing. We're way far away from the Tennessee part and the Virginia part. But, keeping in mind, I'm sure parts of these areas of Georgia got rocked too, in South Carolina. So noticing how, for example, Lake Lure, I've heard things about that. You see how Lake Lure is already a lake? I'm sure this just filled up in such a massive way. Just kind of like a proportion that was unprecedented to be able to handle what normal infrastructure is just built to handle. It's just kind of like nobody expected that. So the water ends up pooling in these kind of little corridors here. And this is why you're dealing with certain cities that are worse than others. Like all of these places, Girton. Has anybody heard about Girton? Does anybody know who or where Girton people are? I mean, I'm not saying that this is necessarily bad. I just don't know. But I'm also saying, like, looking at the map, good Lord, I don't know about Girton. Not good luck. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is all right outside of Asheville, right here. Asheville International. Yeah. There's a place called Good Luck. Hopefully, I don't mean to be like punny regarding the name, but I do hope people have good luck and good luck. I just look at it and I'm like, it's just kind of, it's a lot to take in when you kind of know, it's like familiar to you, you know? It's not just this distant place anymore. I've heard about stuff going on in Waynesville. I mean, let's just see where Waynesville's topography looks. I've never been to Waynesville. I don't know. I mean, Waynesville looks like it's right on the border. Yeah, they just got ravaged and pummeled. I mean, who knows to what extent. I mean, you can see here just these hills, these little mountain cities within here, all these little mountain towns. So that house, let's just go to Ingalls and Black Mountain. Okay, this is probably this one. If this is Monterey College here. Okay. So when you're going, yeah, this is it. Christ Mount is there. When I'm going to that spring, this is that road. I think it's either this first turn here. This is where the address was. If y'all remember that post that went viral, this post, maybe you've seen it. It said 100 people stuck on a mountain in Black Mountain, North Carolina. Address is 129 Morning Glory Drive, Black Mountain. They need immediate rescuing. There was a lady giving birth and they will run out of food in the next day or two. Please help. 100 people, okay? I saw this and I'm like, let me look this address up. And when I did, Morning Glory Drive. Search. Right, yeah, it was the same term, but same area, but just a little further into the road. So that means 100, when they say 100 people were trapped, that means this house, this house, this house, this house, all these little people, maybe there was like a sleepover or something happening, but most likely, and I could probably get the details because I did call that number and that lady was the sister of someone who was trapped, but she did say that they got rescued, that her post went viral and everybody ended up getting out. But look, these are just like nice roads, right? But these people are all stuck. Everybody. So what's not being talked about is all of this. You know, when they say missing, the thousands and thousands of people missing, that's just in these like random, like who knows where they at type, can't necessarily get access. It might not even have Wi-Fi to begin with type locations, or at least cell phone signal to begin with. Just up in the mountains, when I go up there, I just was able to go up there and have signal the whole time, just within the last 2 years. So it's kind of like the people that live here are completely okay with that. Most of them move here for that reason. But there's just a whole lot of pockets of just areas like maybe it's just some tennis courts there. I hope so. But just these mountains let me zoom it on out. These mountains are pretty tall, and these mountain towns are just pretty vast. And this is just the Montreat area, right? This is just the area. The whole area I was just in, they just said is is underwater, right? So this is just the scope of this, y'all. I just think it's bigger than we know. And I want to share with people that this greater Asheville area, I'm going to pick up my ruler and I'm going to show everybody Kings Mountain is over here, right? Somewhere just west of Charlotte. Where that address that I showed you was Black Mountain is this far away. So when they say within 70 miles, they're right. But it's kind of like so far away from the drama that, you know, basically, as far as I can tell, wasn't it didn't get anybody outside of the mountain ranges that bad, that I don't think that that's the threat that the online conversation seems to be making it. So I just want to provide some clarity. I'll give everybody more updates as I get more, but I just wanted everybody to see kind of where these locations are so that there's a little bit more clarity into really what's happening. Thankfully, everybody that's here got fully rescued. Thank God, you know, because that's just a scary thing.